welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
A beautiful Friday morning live here from the Federal Capital Territory, where the seat of the power and of course the demonstration yesterday, which gathered a lot of significant results. I mean, looking at the fact that the hunger protests erupted and created tension right here in the Federal Capital Territory. Even as we speak, some persons are still having some levels of reluctancy in going to offices, in going to work and reporting to their daily duties. All of this is a tension created by the End Bad Governance protests by not just Nigerians but the young people who are trying to take up the future into their hands, of course creating a lot of demands for government to really begins to answer. Well, on the program Global Morning, of course live here, where of course we'll be bringing you some highlight of the events, the aftermath of yesterday's events, the reactions, the stories coming in, the interactions. Of course, we're going to be bringing all of that to you this morning on the package Global Morning. I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have my beautiful colleagues live here in the studio to add voice to the conversations. Good morning, Jumai Mansell.
Good morning.
I'm always very happy when I start to see the close to you. Thanks so much for joining us, especially on the Global Morning. And of course, my co-host, Anthony Momodu. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning. Nice to be up. And
I'm happy that you survived the echoes of yesterday.
Yeah, we sniffed in tear gas as much as 6 cans yesterday. It wasn't funny. Well, at a point we felt like we were losing our lives. Yeah, so
I mean, no, the composure and the
stage. But the thing is, I'm just glad that I wasn't up front in the field.
Yeah.
But good morning to these very handsome colleagues of mine.
Thanks so much.
Ladies, you don't know what it is to be in the middle of very two strong men.
You're a powerful woman, then. You're a very powerful woman. And when you look at the fact that Anthony is very good, I'm also a touch of
oh my goodness,
representing the unity of this country, the color of this country.
Yes, you are.
Very significant.
Yes, you
and
are.
And you, of course, have a touch of green, so you're not out of place.
Exactly. I'm trying to compliment the both of you.
Thanks so much.
I think the most important color as an artist for me is the yellow, which represents some real.
You're going to be making a massive blushing this morning.
Exactly. What's the blush this morning? What's going on?
When the sunlight hits the green, it means production is...
Absolutely. But I'm glad today the men have outnumbered the women. I mean, on Global TV. Well, I mean, well, a lot of conversations are trailing in regards to the ongoing nationwide protests. Jumai, you were here analyzing some report from Lagos. You got a report from many states.
Yes, I do.
You understand the fact that this was just not something as if it was just a play. It was a demonstration with passion. We saw that the young people were passionate about the exercise, even when the president was trying to persuade them to shut the protest, but they still hit on the street.
Yes.
What was the lesson you really got from yesterday's protest?
Well, the lesson I got yesterday was whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve. But it depends. It has to be a positive achievement, not a negative one. For the fact that you still stayed on the ground and still went ahead with the protest shows that they would not be deterred by anything. It doesn't matter what efforts the government are being made. They want to pass out a message which is very important, that is say no to hunger. And of course, we know it's a hunger protest that has to do with the high cost of living in Nigeria at the moment. But it's just unfortunate that some miscreants took advantage of this particular protest, because I got reports from Gwarimpa yesterday that some people were being robbed. I got a report that a man was trying to steal a transformer and he was shocked and electrocuted, and then he died at the process. It's just unfortunate that shops are being looted and all of that. That is not the aim of this particular protest. It's to pass a message to the government. But it's just unfortunate that some played out, some it was calm from Asaba, from Lagos, most of the places in Lagos, from Agege, Egbeda, Iyanokpaja, and all of these places, some parts in Kaduna, and some Bauchi, Sokoto. We got reports, some peaceful, some was not, but we pray that this is day 2, so hopefully everything
probably we don't even know what may really play out today.
Yes, exactly.
But Anthony,
for me, I think for all she read out as the insecurity or the criminality that took place yesterday, I think I also want to blame the security agencies, because this is something they would have envisaged that it was going to happen. And so it meant what their focus was just strictly on the protesters and not protecting the lives and properties of Nigerians. They were that these criminals would want to hijack the process. So I thought they should have divided their focus. Aside the protesters, these other persons who were going to be doing all these nefarious activities should have been, caged. So I thought they were not completely tactical in the approach of protecting not just the protesters but Nigerians.
But a bit I would beg to differ just a little bit, because that was why on the onslaught at the beginning of all of this, some government officials said no to protest. You should have, because of the outcome, and this is the outcome.
There's a common saying that an angry man is an angry man. The roots of the causes have to be addressed personally, because I understand that even this, if that's what took place again today, it might even go worse than yesterday. And we even afraid. And let's get to read the statement of the IG, which yesterday night had a press briefing to review some of the exercise of the Day 1 protest. The Inspector General of Police announced that the police officer was killed on Thursday, which yesterday during the End Bad Governance protest held in many states across the nation. He claimed that several other police officers sustained injuries and some police stations were set ablaze by individuals posing as protesters. I report that the protests organized against hunger and hardship, which commenced yesterday, had garnered significant participation from citizens across various states. Some states have imposed 24 hours coffee to curb the unrest. Tragically, death, looting, vandalism were reported in some part of the country. That's the reaction of the IG in respect to the insecurity.
I was saying, in as much as I am not in support of criminal activities by hoodlums, but something you should know, and with or without the protests, we've been seeing criminality all over the country. So I think it's unfair when we just want to blame the protests as the reason why there are killings or stealings or looting. These things happen every day in Nigeria. So I just think, for me, it's on the path of the security agencies not to have mapped out the strategy to know that, yes, they've always said criminals would hijack the process. So what did you put in place to, to forestall that from happening? Or if it did happen, what were the measures you've put in place to checkmate it? So I think it's just an easy way for the government to say, yes, we said it, that was going to happen, and so because you said it's going to happen, so you let it happen. Is that the excuse?
Another sad event, Juma, yesterday was the fact that we saw that where the peaceful protesters gathered, we also saw people of over 11 buses arriving there and saying no to protest. And now we ask them a silent question: why choosing the same venue to resist protest? Why choosing the same time? Why choosing the same date? And these are the issue, because sometimes we understand these people will mobilize, and because the moment you look at them, some of them looks hungry. Why are you coming to say no to protest and to counter the protest as at that location where peaceful protesters are? Some of these things, I think, probably wasn't a good PR from all quarters that were trying to pull these stunts, because to me, it made a lot of peaceful protesters to be retaliating, against them. And of course, I saw some of them saying, let them try it. Some violence words which triggered some action. So some of these issues are what we are trying to avoid, even if today again has to happen. You saw in Lagos video where people saying, if you burn, you come out to the street, and all those threatening comments and all of that. It wasn't a way to go, and these were the issues that we must be addressed by the security agencies.
Yes.
And get these persons arrested.
And the thing is, I want us to understand something here. It's not everyone that is for the protest. You cannot force me to join a protest I do not want to be a part of.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter even if the individual looks hungry, because efforts has been made by government.
But why choosing the same venue? Why at the same time?
Maybe the individuals are trying to douse the situation.
No, the security agency, they're trying to take off the jobs of the security agency.
You were there in the field. I wasn't there. But the truth is, it's not everyone.
I agree with you that not everybody has to protect. But I feel that they would have probably chosen their own venue, because even if something has to happen, it means that the security agencies and the groups will have to attack the people protesters will not be nice.
You say the funny thing about it. You're saying no to protest, but you have pro-protest. Pro means you're in support. So, and you're saying you're against the protest, but you're carrying pro.
Some people know you.
No, you must understand what they're saying. Some of them are not literate.
Right, and the funny thing is, you look at those buses, those are buses that you're going to pay 5,000
We need for scarcity area.
Even those who
it was dramatic.
Financial power to have 11 buses.
It was really
at a go, and we saw the Nigerian police force escort these people to the venue. That's very disturbing.
Because, no, the truth is, I'm sure the reason why I do not.
The Ben Igwe, the police commissioner of FCT, came in trying to make the protesters go into the stadium. Meanwhile, he was okay with the pro or supposedly anti-protesters to be on the road, but the others to go into the stadium.
I don't know what that stadium demonstration was like. Were they going to play football match? Were they going to play football match? Because forcing people to go into the stadium was a way of trying to tell them to set up an plan and on schedule match for them. But it was also an attention that yes, the court had ordered that they use the national stadium away from the Eagles Square. But there are also instances that protests can be carried out, at any location. But for the fact that they had gathered at the Marshal Abiola's facility, it was enough for them to allow them to remain there. Wife tried to force them into the stadium. It was a way of also a threat that probably want to lock them inside the stadium.
That's a speculation. It's not
It was just also a speculation. Well, these are the stories we'll be bringing on. Of course, we'll be having experts join us live on Zoom to give us an understanding of what really played out from their end. And of course, we'll have some justifications to the day one aftermath of the protest. To stay with us, we'll be going on a break, and once we return, the discussion continues.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
You're welcome back to the program Global Morning on Global Television. It's a beautiful segment today, yes, and of course it's a Friday. And well, surprisingly, I am here on Global Morning. It's Michael and Anthony that are holding down this particular segment of Global Morning, but I have some very important questions to ask my colleagues that were on the field yesterday at the Secretariat just to gather reports regarding the hunger protest. So Michael and Anthony, you guys were on the field, right?
Absolutely.
So you were tear-gassed. You guys got the tear. You were still moving on to
We are not the protesters, but unfortunately we were victim of the incidences of the gas and tear gas being shooted against the protesters. But unfortunately.
But tell us, how was the ambience there? Were people, did they deter, were they running away, or they were still there with their placards and still holding on?
I mean, away from the NSAS protest, this was another time where I saw how people were not afraid, because, as I said, this is an hunger issue, and I saw when we were interrogating one an adult who said, I left my home telling my wife, and I now return alive, that I don't have what to give to my kids to eat. I do not know where my next meal comes from. So I'm going out there to cry, to demonstrate, to let government know that I'm in dire need. The moment where I saw that, it was so touching, and emotional for me, because this is the reality of many families. Understand the fact that over 40% inflation has hit a lot of people. People can afford a bag of rice. People can afford, not even a bag of rice, model of rice, gari, and all of those things. You've been in the market, so you understand the reality. So some of these were the issue. So I saw even when the police were shooting tear gas against the protesters were also, using their bare hands to take the tear gas back to the police.
I saw that.
So it was a more of,
I don't care.
Demonstration that whatever is going to happen, I'm going to take it. But I think the message has been passed. In as much as we run this demonstration, and the president seems to have heard this loud and clear, but there are also considerations that the president is not speaking. The people feel as the father of the nation, he ought to have, be out to, tell them something to hear. Not even something to hear, an action that can be able, to quench this hardship.
But he has made efforts. Anthony, you come in here. But the thing, I just want to ask, but everybody's expecting the president to come out yesterday to, okay, please stop the protest, say something to Nigerians. But he has made effort, and no one is listening.
I think I get a little bit agitated when you make that statement. He's made efforts. I feel like you're pro-speaking.
No, I am not. I'm just telling the reality at hand.
Explain, Tara, no evidence. That's what is happening in the government. The government are making a lot of explanations.
That this talk you're saying, when did he start making these advances? It's coming too late. And it seems very insistent.
But at least an effort has been made, Anthony.
If we look at the posture of the security agencies, the comment of government officials, even the legal practitioner, AGF, you see like they were hell-bent on trying to intimidate Nigerians. And even if you went out on the street yesterday, you see the police with red,
that's signaling
danger, war. So you're already portraying that. So it's like you're not sympathetic to what Nigerians are saying, what they're going through. You just want to intimidate them, use force to cow them from speaking their minds. This is what the Constitution gives Nigerians. Let them speak out.
Of course, it's a fundamental human right. I understand.
The processes or the actions of the government seemed forced, not like they were willing to do it for Nigerians. They were doing it because they were scared of the outcome. And scared of the outcome wasn't because they truly care, but because of their investment and their interest. Because if you truly love your citizenry, you didn't have to wait until Nigerians cried out that loud. Ali Ndume, he is a lawmaker. For him to have opened his mouth to say the president is caged, what happened to him? They removed him as his chief whip. So let's be sincere. In as much as I know we're media, I know we're trying to ensure that the country doesn't boil. But we have to be sincere to an extent. We have to speak truth to power. We say we're Christians, we're Muslims, but at times we begin to now play politics and wanting to be politically correct. I think it's unfair. Nigerians are suffering, Nigerians are dying, Nigerians can't eat, Nigerians are hungry. Then you come out and try to suppress them from speaking their minds. That is truly unfair.
But at the same time, you should try and douse the situation. Have you seen other?
You douse it by talking to the people. the security agencies yesterday, if they were a little bit calmer, if they had showed more laughter, joy, Nigerians, we remember at the stadium when the police came, they kept saying, please go inside, we don't want any car to hit you. You could see Nigerians listening, and they were surprised that was coming from the Nigerian police. They were the ones even helping the police to push and make sure people did not stop cars. But when you come out with that posture of like, the Nigerian protesters were telling the police, please do not allow those pro or supposedly anti-protesters to come towards this direction so that there's no conflict. And the Nigerian police, all they were saying is that, don't worry, we'll take care of that, just you enter the stadium. And we're wondering, these people are already giving you the right step to take to ensure those people do not come towards that direction to avoid conflict. But you're rather more interested in those people coming close so that they spoil the protest and you have something to say. I think it's very wrong.
Let us talk about the fact that I saw you at the barricade. What was happening when you were at the barricade and you were moving and they were actually, I think there were exchange of words. And what was going on there? I saw the security agents at the other side.
At that point, the protesters kept saying, we are hungry. They were not even, if you look at barricade, nobody made an attempt to even push or pull the barricade.
But it was a bit rowdy though.
Yeah, because people were moving and singing, we are hungry, we are, even the police people, they didn't, where they were standing, they had some other media people, foreign media people on the other side. Nobody made any attempt at them. But for me, I felt they were trigger happy. That was why they were shooting, because what they did was, they were shooting the canisters to show how mischievous they were. They were shooting from this direction, somewhere inside the secretariat.
Absolutely.
Why shoot canister from the secretariat into the crowd?
Into the crowd, yeah.
Nobody was jumping inside. Nobody was inside. Because obviously it was too high. There was a
so the protesters were already captured. I mean, all the facilities of the it was well captured. Yeah.
That's
the concern, because the moment where we are not taking action towards they are demanding for, the moment where we are not showing result, it's a way of also trying to spark also persons who are not even deterred about that action, because there are some of them who felt, even if I'm able to confront them with bullet and all of that, I don't care. So away from that we want government to begin to address the issues. I feel that's the most paramount thing. Most pressing is the subsidy removal. Other policy have really, really caused a lot. I understand the president have been doing a lot to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. But what happens to the fact that things hasn't changed? Why not rather fight the corruption in the oil sector other than, removing the subsidy? That's a cry of some people, because you understand that fuel control almost everything in the country, the transportation, livelihood, every inflation has been hit because of that particular policy. So it is also time that the people are looking for, if Mr. President can sometime withdraw his steps on that policy and see how he could probably, make other issues, confront the corruption in the oil sector and address this issue, because that is the most paramount thing. And what Nigerians basically, it's not that they're happy protesting. Jumai, they're not happy about the protests. They're not happy that they're hitting on the street. They're rather sad that the family can afford, 2 square meals, not even 3. They are sad that they can't afford transportation to go to work. They are sad they can't afford houses because of the high cost of, housing and all of that. But I understand the government.
There was a caption yesterday. A woman said, I have no husband because of bad governance. I am 38. And she's not far from the truth, because young men do not have great jobs. They cannot earn enough to say they're getting married. Okay, let's look at, we're going too far. Look at the fear queues. You're saying you're trying to change the narrative, but we're still having fear queues up to yesterday, last week, and people are suffering. Because if Nigerians could drive into the fuel station, buy fuel, and go home without stress, they would be happy. But there's still fear queue. The fuel is not available, it's expensive. So what efforts are you saying the government is doing that we cannot even see? It's not so difficult.
Not to cut you short, Anthony, it's just unfortunate that for as much as like I've mentioned before, you should protest. It's a fundamental human right under the 1999 Constitution as amended. But at the same time, it has to be civil, it has to be peaceful to pass the right message.
Absolutely.
But other states, you can hear the chaos that are happening from different locations. But we're going to come back to that, and we're going to discuss it more here on Global Morning. But at this point, I'm hungry. So let's go in for Taste and Texture with Anaman Chong Joseph. Let's see what she has for us. Let's just sit back, relax, and just hear our out what breakfast holds today. Stay tuned.
Good morning and welcome to Taste and Texture. Today we're going to be making puff puff. Puff puff is a quintessential Central and West African street food that is fluffy on the inside, slightly crunchy on the outside, irresistible and made with simple ingredients. The palatability of puff puff is a proof that there are few things that rival deep fried butter or dough. It is slightly sweet and can be eaten either as a sweet or savory snack or as an appetizer. For the ingredients, all you need is your water, your yeast, your flour, your sugar, your salt, nutmeg, and oil for deep frying. For the direction in making your puff puff, first, in a bowl add flour, salt, sugar, nutmeg, instant yeast, and pour in the mixture water. Mix very well until well combined. Let the mixture rise for approximately 1 to 2 hours. In a large saucepan, pour vegetable oil into a pot until it's at least 3 inches, about 5 centimeters deep, and heat on low. Too little oil will result in flatter balls. Taste to make sure the oil is hot enough to put in a drop of butter into the oil. If it's not hot enough, the butter stays at the pot's bottom rather than rising to the top. When the oil is hot enough, grab a little bit of the mixture with your hand or a spoon to get a small ball of dough. Drop it carefully into the oil. Fry for a few minutes until the bottom side is golden brown. Turn the ball over and fry for a few more minutes until the other side is golden brown. Use a large spoon to take it out of the oil. Place them on the napkins immediately to soak up the excess oil. If desired, you can roll the finished product in table sugar or powdered sugar to make it sweeter. And now your puff is ready. You can enjoy it with either custard, pap, or any beverage of your choice. And that's that for Taste and Texture today. Bye!
All right, welcome back from that segment of Taste and Texture. For puff lovers like myself, hope you're going to have a field day when you try out this recipe. Anthony.
I'm surprised. Did that just come out?
God, that's very pretty. Always.
You just have to show yourself.
I just had to.
Okay, now we know who loves food.
Of course.
But truly, that stuff is amazing with a cup of tea.
Oh, my goodness.
It's on the go. You can just be stuck, especially when you're driving in a hurry. And for junkies, those that love eating junks, especially for those in a line of profession, it comes handy.
It comes handy.
You do a lot of brain work in it.
Of course, like I said, for puff lovers like myself, please try it out. It is delicious. And at this point, we're going to be going
on the AM News. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere.
AM News with Anthony Momodu.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen. Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. We would like to remind you that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365. Security operatives have been having a tough time controlling the crowd of young persons who insist they would remain on the streets until their demands on an improved economy are met. The protesters, who are in hundreds, have refused to retreat despite gunshots and tear gas fired by security operatives at the Federal Secretariat of the Federal Capital Territory. Edikan Michael now reports.
All right, what started as a peaceful demonstration earlier today has been met with a lot of resistance by the security agencies. The peaceful protesters moved from the Marshal Abiola Stadium down here to the Federal Secretariat, but unfortunately the police started using tear gas against them, dispersing them and sending them out of the Secretariat. The protesters are saying and insisting that they are here for a peaceful protest to make their voices heard by the government. Anthony Momodu, what is your analysis on what is actually playing out right now?
Obviously, we can tell that the government is making true its threat earlier on to meet the peaceful protest by Nigerians with force. And we've seen that happen. That was the same thing that played out when the SARS protest occurred. But this time around, Nigerians are talking about very critical issues. One of them being the fact that the cost of living is very high, the insecurity ravaging the country, also the electoral process to be cleaner and more transparent.
You can see obviously that the tear gas are being fired at the peaceful protesters, and again this is the second one, and then we are seeing 4 shots that has been taken now by the security agents, and then it's showing that the government itself is not wanting to have this protest peacefully.
Tear gas shoots against the protesters, peaceful protesters saying enough is enough to governor, poor governors, enough to hardship and enough to anger. And that's the demonstration right there. The peaceful protesters are pushing forward their demands to get the attention of the government, but the security agencies are shooting tear gas against them, resisting them from getting their demands just to the authorities. But it is, of course, just like on Oliver Twist, it's never enough for them. The protest still persists for the next 10 days right here at the Federal Capital Territory. We're live here to give you some update and reactions of the people on what's happening. Video. shots by the Nigerian police force. More gunshots. We can see more gunshots against peaceful protesters. More gunshots. More gunshots. They are cracking and shooting.
We don't tire. Nigerians don't tire. We don't too suffer. They should bring back subsidy. They should bring back everything that we've lost so many things.
Government should stop changing shadow. Tinubu's administration should stop chasing shadow. The sponsor of this protest is hunger, anger, corruption, starvation. We are here to demand for good governance. We are here to make trouble. We are here to demand for good governance. But fortunately, there are such things in us. The good is no retreat, no surrender.
It's the right of every citizen. The citizen of this country has the right to protest. We are going on our human rights. This is our.
Protesters in their hundreds have stormed the streets of Kano to protest against hunger and economic hardship across the country. The protesters have also called on President Bola Tinubu to reverse fuel subsidy removal and ensure food security and availability. Correspondent Idris Jibril reports that isolated cases of violence and looting were reported in some parts of the state.
As early as 7 a.m., residents of Kano began to troop out from different parts of the state to join the protest. Carrying placards with different inscriptions, the protesters are generally united on one common goal, targeted at forcing the federal government to reverse fuel subsidy removal and ensure food security.
Subsidy should be restored. Issue of insecurity. We thank God in Kano we are peaceful, but our neighbor, our brothers in Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, and other part of the country are in difficult situation. Their life is in danger. They cannot go to farm to produce food. So specifically, we are saying that the subsidy should, one, be restored. Secondly, the security should be restored also.
They were singing different songs while some are reciting from the Muslims' Holy Quran. According to them, this protest is necessary considering the current economic hardship occasioned by the fuel subsidy removal.
The purpose of coming out here is to protest, peaceful protest, peaceful protest. That's why we are out here. We are not fighting anybody. We want the government to bring back subsidy. They should bring back subsidy. People are dying of hunger. People are crying. People are dying. Enough is enough.
The protesters met at Kofar Nasarawa and then marched to the state road in their thousands. Although generally peaceful at the moment, but there were reports of violence and looting of both private and public properties in some part of the states. However, organizers of the protest have distanced themselves from any act of violence.
What we are ensuring the public is that this protest is purely peaceful. We have no intention to any violence. We protesters, we have zero tolerance of violence. So we are going to follow constitutional rights, which give us right to struggle, to say no to the government, to register our grievances. There are so many ways to challenge the government policies that will affect the life and livelihood of the people.
The crowd across Kano metropolis is unprecedented, and the protesters unrelenting in what they...
Meanwhile, security operatives have arrested more than 5 hoodlums around the Audu Bako Way in Kano State who looted shops and offices around the area under the guise of hardship protest. In the course of the arrest, the security operatives were stoned and had to resort to firing tear gas to disperse the crowd that wanted to overpower them. Some of the looters ran into houses around the area with the stolen items, which led to the security operatives pursuing them to ensure arrest. Following the nationwide protest, the Owerri capital of Imo State witnessed empty streets as humans and vehicular movements were scanty. At the time of filing this report, shop owners, Commercial Access Road, and the Eke Oku markets closed their shops. Kikelomo Okere completes the report.
A visit to some location in Owerri witnessed that there were no businesses activities. Transportation companies along Egbu Road in Owerri were not left out, as they also shut down their motor parks. The situation was the same in the streets of Douglas, Wedra, Okigwe, World Bank, Aba Road, Owerri Port Harcourt Road. Some residents says governor has appealed to the residents not to involve in the protest, while some says it was due to the heavy downpour.
The reason why they don't do protest today is because of this rain.
As you can see, governor said that in most state people should not do protest. That's what he said. So you can see people, they are indoor. No one come outside.
The Imo State resident further appealed to the federal government to alleviate suffering on Nigerians.
Everybody is suffering here. The price of things are so escalating every day here, and that was why the reason this protest is going on today. So I believe that maybe they will hear the cry of the masses, because we are the one that voted them in there. So I believe that they should do something about us.
The way things is going on the country is very, very bad. It's not going well. Masses are suffering. Understand? Hungry everywhere. See, look at food. Everything is very costly. A plate of food now, they will tell you small rice. They will say 1.5 a plate. And if you eat it, you will not even belly full. So as you can see, as things is going like this, so government should know what to do for us.
It's been a rainy day in Owerri, Imo State capital, which is believed attributed to the people not coming out for the protest. But it could be recalled that the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, at the stakeholders meeting, urged the residents to shun violence and give the government a chance to address the economic situation of the country. From Owerri, Imo State capital, Kikelomo Okeri, Global Television News.
The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, has decried the destruction of a technology hub in Kano just days before its scheduled launch. The Nigerian Communications Commission Digital Innovation Park, designed to support Nigeria's Technical Talent Accelerator program, was set ablaze and looted during the protest in Kano. The incident occurred as part of wider unrest in Kano, where protesters targeted the yet-to-be-commissioned Nigerian Communications Commission Industrial Park. Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf has declared 24 hours curfew in the state following the degeneration of the nationwide protests in the state. The governor made this known during a press conference held at the Government House. He said after careful consideration, it has become imperative to declare 24 hours curfew to further prevent looting and vandalization of businesses and killing of innocent citizens. He further directed all security agencies in the state to ensure full compliance with directives to ensure restoration of peace in the state. A group of Nigerians in Sokoto, northwest Nigeria, have embarked on a protest against the current state of the nation, despite pleas from the state government to cancel the demonstration. The protest aimed at drawing attention to the country's economic crisis and worsening security situation. From Sokoto, Lawal Aliyu files in the situation report on the protest.
As of 9 a.m., the street of Sokoto remained eerily quiet, with minimal vehicle movements and no sign of protest at popular hotspots like Bello Way, Aliyu Jodi, and Maituta Road. However, a visible presence of security personnel was observed at strategic locations across the city, with joint security patrols also in place. Despite the calm atmosphere, protesters eventually emerged carrying placards with various inscriptions such as "We are hungry" and "End bad governance and insecurity," among others. The protesters' chants and demands echoed through the streets, highlighting their frustrations with the current state of affairs in Nigeria.
Nigeria is suffering. Everybody knows that. Kids, children, adults, everybody, the whole Nigeria is
suffering because of what? Bad government. We are tired. We are tired of everything. The poor masses are suffering because of things is very high.
Nigeria, we are suffering. No food, nothing. Source of income, everything goes down. Security, insecurity. They are killing our people, kidnapping people, killing people like flies for streets, and our parents, our younger sisters, and little children are dying for nothing.
The demonstrators who began their march from the Sokoto central city made their way through Bello Way to Kano Road and finally converged at the Sokoto State Government House to register their grievances. From Sokoto, Lawal Ali, Global TV.
From Bauchi State, northeast Nigeria, comes a report that protesters came out in hundreds chanting bitter slogans. Global Television correspondent Adamu Abdallah sent in this protest situation report from the capital of Bauchi State.
Hundreds of youths participated in the nationwide hardship protest in Bauchi State, northeastern Nigeria. The youth who initially converged at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa Stadium trekked about 1.5 kilometers to the Emir's Palace with placards and demanding an end to bad governance, restoration of fuel subsidy, and calling on soldiers to take over. The police had to use tear gas to disperse the teeming protesters as the protest was taking another dimension. Adamu Abdullah, Global TV correspondent from Bauchi, interviews some protesters.
And the purpose of our own protest here is not for anything, sir. It's because of the insecurity disturbance in this country, the high rates of inflation in this country, insecurity, food. A common person cannot afford food, sir. A lot of people cannot afford food, sir. A lot of people are, just see this tree, sir. Just see this. A lot of people are plucking leaves from the tree for them just to eat, sir. This is not right, sir, in this country. Food, now let me just tell you, sir, the beans, the price of beans is 2,800 naira, sir. For you to buy a cup of rice or a measurement of rice is 2,200 naira, sir. What is the cost of this, sir? What is the cost of this? The government can manage this, sir. It is because of the poor governance and their own policy. So, Tinubu, you should look toward your own policy. Bring back our subsidy.
The Nigerian Bar Association (NBA) has promised to provide pro bono legal service for any peaceful protester assaulted or intimidated during the nationwide hunger protest. It also directed chairpersons in all 130 NBA branches across the country to monitor the protest. The NBA president, Yakubu Chonoko Mayo, in a statement by Akorede Habib Lawal, the association's national publicity secretary, said the measures were in recognition of the fundamental and guaranteed constitutional rights of citizens to assemble and protest. Many protesters went berserk at the Bulunkutu area in Maiduguri, Borno State capital, as the police officers fired tear gas to disperse them. Gunshots were also heard, but no casualty has been reported so far. The angry protesters in their hundreds have mounted roadblocks preventing vehicular movement and breaking windscreens of private and commercial vehicles that insisted on passing. At the time of this report, fighter jets were hovering in the sky as the protesters headed for the government house to register their grievances to the state governor, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum. No fewer than 19 persons have been reportedly killed after an improvised explosive device, IED, exploded at a local joint in the Kauri community, Gunduga local government area of Borno State. The incident also injured an unspecified number of residents. The explosive device was suspected to have been planted by Boko Haram insurgents, causing chaos in the northeast. In a related development, a 24-hour curfew have been declared in Borno State amid the ongoing hunger protests across the nation. Spokesman for the command, Nahum Kenneth Daso, who announced this in a statement, said the curfew was on the basis of the security concern following the bomb explosion. In his statement, the police image maker said the curfew was declared in the interest of peace. The Niger State Police Command has arrested 11 hoodlums in connection with the burning of a part of Tafa Local Government Secretariat. The spokesperson for the command, SP Wasiu Abiodun, in a statement said 2 cars were also set ablaze while 2 others were vandalized, adding that the hoodlums stole valuables. The police warned the public, parents and residents to caution their words, saying that the command would not entertain violent demonstrations and destruction of public assets and looting. Some protesters have blocked the Kefi-Abuja highway, preventing motorists from plying the road. The Nasarawa youth who earlier shunned the protest, however, decided to join the protest later in the day. The protesters in their thousands also set fire on the roads, threatening to beat up motorists who refused to turn back their vehicles. Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State has enjoined Nigerians to hold state governors accountable over the improved allocation from the Federation account. Sule stated this while answering questions in relation to the planned nationwide protest during an interview. He said that people were suffering, urging them to ask their state governors what they were doing with the improved revenues from the federal government. You're watching AM News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using the Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When AM News returns, federal government to spend $7.2 billion on 2 deep sea port projects. We will bring you these and other stories right after this break. To stay with us. Welcome back from the break. This is Global Television bringing you live broadcasts of AM News. Thank you for staying with us. In business, the federal government might be spending about $7.2 billion to complete 2 approved deep sea ports across the country. The projects are Ibom, Badagry, and Deep Sea Ports. In December 2020, the Akwa Ibom state government said the federal government had approved $2.016 billion for the first phase of Ibom Deep Sea Ports, which was estimated to cost $4.6 billion. This was disclosed in Uyo by the then Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Economic Development and IDSP Akan Okon. The Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, has announced that approximately 1 million households have benefited from the federal government's cash transfer program since its relaunch. Edun disclosed this during a World Press Conference in Abuja. He noted that around 300,000 payments were made in the past week, with about 5 million individuals benefiting from the scheme to date. And wrapping it up on the foreign scene, thousands have turned out for the funeral procession in Iran of the Hamas political chief, Ismail Haniyeh, who was killed in a strike in Tehran. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, led prayers for the Hamas leader, whose body will be buried in Qatar. Report says Iranian officials are saying the supreme leader has ordered a direct attack against Israel, which it says was responsible for the attack on Iranian soil. Israel has not commented on the assassination directly. And that's how we call it a wrap on the Global AM News. I am Anthony Momodo. Good morning. increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Juma and Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Hello, children. Gather around, let me tell you a story. Do you know that stories have a way of captivating the minds of children, bringing fun and imagination to teach them morals? Join Sharon Ajay as she takes you to explore the thrilling and exciting world of storytelling.
I'll be sharing with you our next interesting story.
Tune in every Saturday on Global Television, time 5:30 p.m.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians.
Can we not say both of them?
Because
That this country gets it right.
Who are these bandits? It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television, getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on global televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point. This is business.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so more.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. Many thanks, everyone, for staying with us. Of course, we are right here to bring you some headlines on the papers this morning. A lot is on the papers regarding especially the strike, the protests that erupted yesterday. And to start with, Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Trust newspaper this morning, big story on the Daily Trust, as it that day one of protests, death, destruction in some states. The writers to that story: Kano, Borno, Yobe, Katsina government imposed curfew. Police arrest journalists, tear gas protesters. Pro-anti demonstrators clash in Abuja. No rally in Southeast, Ekiti, Benue, Kogi. Then, beneath the template of the Daily Trust newspaper, protesters besiege Buhari's house in Daura. Sultan urges calm. Businesses shut in many states. That's still on the reactions to the protests. Kidnappers chase FCT residents from farm and sets ablaze 3 houses. That's the story from the Daily Trust newspaper. And over to you, Jemai.
All right, next on the newspaper review, we're looking at the Daily Times. And above that caption, it says, "End bad governance, looting, violence, mayor protests, curfew imposed in 4 states." Now, of course, below the caption of the Daily Times, we have LPPC alleviates 87 lawyers, the senior advocate of Nigeria rank. FCCPC to sanction Coca-Cola, NBC for misleading consumers. And of course, the protest caption says genocidal threats against Igbo in Lagos troubling against national unity. And that's Atiku. And of course, the boldly written caption on the Daily Times, we have organizers instigated mass uprising, looting, not protest, says the IGP. And we have 2 riders there, and it says, places police officers on red alert, stop mobilizing youths to disrupt rallies, Falana tells government officials. Now, below all of that, we have the protest caption, and it says, review your strangulating policies now, PDP tells Tinubu-led APC government. And the rider says life in Nigeria unbearable. Now, below all of this, we have Wike declares government readiness to dialogue with protesters. Now, 2 stories that caught my eyes there is Wike declares government's readiness to dialogue with protesters, and that's talking about the FCT minister Nyesom Wike. And about this point, let's quickly go on a very, very quick. And there's no need for a break now. And here it says, organizers instigated mass uprising, looting, not protesters, IGP. Now, we know what happened, what took place in some various states. We know that some of these protesters, we will say miscreants, not protesters, went into organizations to loot and not to protest at about this time. So what's your take on it, Anthony, and of course, Edikan? What's your take?
All right, earlier on I said I think the security agencies of those organizations didn't do their homework because when you know there's likely potentials of crime or criminality to occur due to the protest, one expects what they call increase in the security level of any organization. So we would have expected those organizations to have been proactive, getting things sorted out before time, knowing that, okay, this might happen. Because you don't keep the same level of security, plans on a normal day from a day of protest. So, but very disturbing the fact that criminals still had their way to hijack the process, because that was one of the key things the Nigerian police were supposed to do, ensure that they were protecting the protesters, because if they were truly protecting the protesters, it would have been easier for them to have sieved the miscreant from the protesters. So it meant they truly did not
do their homework.
The protesters, rather probably just protecting the infrastructure and the houses of the elites rather than the protesters themselves. Because if you were with the protesters, like we saw at the stadium yesterday, it was going to be impossible for any miscreant hoodlum to come in without them, nipping them or arresting them. So I think it just tells us that in as much as yes, we give kudos to the Nigerian police force and the security agencies, they need to do more to ensure that the protesters are well protected and that in the same vein protect other citizenry.
All right, Anthony, the next paper is the First News. Can you please give us the
looking at the headlines, First News, we've got a very interesting headline. The first headline there says, Senator exposed as hunger protest sponsor, claims Wike. Data coming from the FCT minister there saying the senator has been exposed as the sponsor of the hunger protest, and I think it's very interesting but disturbing. When you hear such claims, it makes you wonder, are they indirectly saying there's no hunger in the land? Are they saying there's no insecurity in the land? Are they saying the cost of living is not high? Because these are the things the Nigerian youth and the protesters are saying as the reasons given for the protest. So when you say senator exposed as hunger protest sponsor, it's kind of very interesting and intriguing. So, and the question is, why didn't the FCT minister name names if you want to be up and doing in terms of letting us know it is truly the fact that it was being sponsored. All right, let's look at other talking points as we look at other headlines. End bad governance protest holds business activities, disaster nationwide is another headline there. As we have another very interesting headline, it says Sultan pleads for peace as hunger protest escalates. Yes, Sultan pleads for peace as hunger protest escalates is another very disturbing headline there. Then we've got a fire got plank market shops in Lagos. Properties worth millions destroyed. Very, very sad commentary there. Those are some of the headline stories there. Then tragic turn in northern states as hardship protests sweep across Nigeria. And we have some other sub-headlines. Mass looting of public buildings in Kano. 7 buses burnt in Yobe. And we've got over 3 feared dead in Borno, 3 in Kaduna, 1 in Katsina, and curfew imposed in Nasarawa, Kano, and Yobe. Then we've got another one. Protesters, police clash in Abuja, tear gas, tension rise. Southeast states shun protest, and we've got Lagos, Ondo, Oyo, Rivers, others record peaceful protest. So those are the very interesting headline stories that are coming from the First News in terms of headline stories from the First News paper there. Edikan, let's just
from the Daily Independent. Let's focus on Daily Independent. But someone is joining us from Lagos, Chibong, a legal practitioner, will be joining us via Zoom to also add voice to the newspaper review this morning. Good morning, Chibong. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's take a look at Daily Independent newspaper. Big story: 14 killed, severely injured as arson looting drove the one of protests. Right us to the stories. Borno, Yobe, Kano government imposed 24-hour curfew. Southeast states Kogi, Benue shun demonstration. CSO alleged infiltration by pro-government protesters. Banks, schools, businesses close operations. Market, shops open for business in Ondo. Police arrest many, disperse protesters in Abuja, Lekki others. Minister decries looting, burning of NCC Industrial Park. An interesting headline on the Daily Independent has it: review your anti-people policies. PDP charges Tinubu, asks president to address Nigerians. Announce policy reviews. Protesters trooped to Buhari's residence, Emir's Palace in Daura. Page 6 of the Daily Independent newspaper. IGP put police on red alert, says officer was killed. Then the next story: equalities market reacts to nationwide protests, down 0.42%. Just quickly, Archibald, the statement made by the IG of police in respect to putting police on red alert has also been a concern. To him, he stated that some of your colleagues, legal practitioners, are encouraging people to protest, that it is the right of the people to protest, but it seems your colleagues, legal practitioners, are also telling Nigerians where the rights of protests really have to stop. According to him, where your own right stops, their own rights is also provided in the same constitution. Give us an understanding about this reaction by the IGP of police, please.
Yes, I would like to align with the IGP because it's right on track, because we all have the right to protest, but that right is not absolute. There is a limitation to that right. So the right to protest as guaranteed in Chapter 4 of the Constitution, gives all Nigerians the right to express themselves however they feel. So if they are not happy with how things are going, they have the right to express it. And they also have the right to assemble to express their opinion. However, this right is not unlimited. There are limitations to it. Where a Nigerian intends to exercise his rights, he must do so and not infringe on the rights of others. Because when you infringe, others also have a fundamental right. They have a right to also abstain from protesting. So once you exercise your right to protest, you must not infringe on the right of other Nigerians. Secondly, as you are also exercising your right to protest, you must not infringe on any law that is existing in Nigeria, most especially the criminal code. What I'm saying in essence is, as protesters go about demonstrating, expressing their views, they must not vandalize properties, and they must also respect the lives of Nigerians, in the sense that you must not kill anybody while protesting. So when you go about vandalizing, whether it is private property, whether it is public property, when you go about vandalizing properties, you go in for it. And the police have the right to arrest such erring protesters and prosecute them accordingly. So the right to protest does not equal to the right to destroy properties. So when a protester or protesters or group of protesters start, causing mayhem, destroying property, they have exceeded their bounds, and the police can step in to restore calm in such situation.
We'll check out your network because we're having a poor video feedback right here. But we got your audio very loud and clear. Let me take some other two headlines around the Delhi Independent. Call for Igbo to vacate Lagos endangers our peace, security. Atiku. Life will be better after this phase of hardship. Fubara assures Nigerians. Then the very last story on the Delhi Independence this morning. Nigeria breaks world record as 30,000 mothers breastfeed baby in one day. That is on the page 7 of the Delhi Independent newspaper. Over to you, Jamal.
All right, now we are on the Leadership Friday, and above that we have Niger community gets pipe-borne water after 30 years. Resume Kimani oil exploration now. Bauchi protesters tell federal government. Now, close to the Leadership Friday, we have 30 million lines not properly linked to NIN. And you can get that on page 19 once you get the Leadership Friday to read the paper. And the caption on the Leadership Friday says, hunger protests turn violent in states. And you can get that on page 4 on the Leadership Friday. And the riders there, we have 3 riders, and it says ground economic activities, highways blocked, protesters want fuel subsidy back. Now the last rider says 10 killed in Borno, Kaduna, Kebbi, Niger, Katsina, curfew imposed on Kanu, Yobe, Katsina, others. And that is all we have on Leadership Friday. Please go out and get a copy and read more.
All right, let's go to the Punch newspaper and see the punchy headlines there for us this morning. We've got hunger protests leading the park with 17 killed as firms and other count huge losses. That's due to the hunger protest. And we've got 10 killed in Niger, Borno, 7 in Kano. Others, federal government complex looted, APC secretariat raised. OPS account losses as banks, ports, offices shut. Federal government begs protesters as NBA officers free legal services. All right, we've got some other headline stories that says Dangote refinery to gulp 1.7 trillion naira crude monthly, says a report, and you find details only on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. We've got AFDB OK's $500 million fresh loan for Nigeria, and page 20 is where you find the details of that loan. Ribado's men abducted Punch photographer is a scary headline story there. And steal camera and belongings, very disturbing. Ribado's men abduct Punch photographer and steal camera and belongings. Find details on the page 29 of the Punch newspaper. We've got 30 million GSM lines not properly linked to NIN, says Telecos. All right, other headline stories. House help admits killing Justice Ajumo Gobia's daughter, police source reveals. House help admits killing Justice Ajumo Gobia's daughter. Find that story on page 4 and 6 of the Punch newspaper. Very disturbing. We've got FCE Governing Council removes provost and appoints replacement. On page 6 is where you find that big story in the education sector. We've got police arrest 6 and exhumed body of Ekiti Varsity ex-DVC. Police arrest 6 and exhumed body of Ekiti Varsity ex-DVC. All right, the other headline stories, we've got picture stories there. Grab a copy of the Punch newspaper and get to read all those very interesting headline stories.
All right, let's now get to the Guardian newspaper this morning. Big story concerns as protests turn violent in North. Governors impose curfews. You can find these on page 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper. 8 die in Jigawa, Niger, as protesters raise APC secretariat. These can be seen on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. Review urge economic policies. Address Nigerians, PDP tells Tinubu. Nigerians accuse NCC telecommunications of internet blockade. CPPE calls for suspension of protests as stock markets shed 235 billion naira. Cost of healthy diet rises by 45% in 6 months. Ondo, Ekiti residents shun protests, low turnout in Ogun. This you can find on page 7 of the Guardian's newspaper. Archibong, if of course still with us, let me get your reaction in respect to Nigerians accusing NCC and telecommunication of internet blockage yesterday, because it was really disturbing. Was it, from your own assessment, as a result of the protests that was carried out yesterday? Achimo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you unmute your mic so we can hear you very well, please? All right, so we'll try to establish our connection with Archibong shortly. Let's get to another paper news.
All right, the Nation paper is next, and above that caption we have: economy suffers multi-billion naira losses today of protests, and that's experts raise the alarm over business paralysis. And it says African Central Bank chiefs in Abuja to chart way forward. Olujimi's son, Umbani, 85 others become SANS. Now below the caption of the Nation paper, it says peaceful protest in Lagos, Rivers, Plateau, Oyo, Osun, and we have 3 riders. Then it says curfew in Kano, Borno, Yobe, 11 killed in 4 states. No protest in Ekiti, Ebonyi, Abia, Anambra, Kwara, Kogi, Kebbi, Akwa Ibom, Benue, Ondo. And police dispersed demonstrators in Abuja. And you can see pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 29 for more details. Now, inside we have about 7 riders, and it says looting in Kano, Edo, Gombe. Violence in Kano, Gombe, Borno, Niger, Yobe, Jigawa. Tinubu Wike meets police station. Wike meets, and it says police station raised in Abuja. AFC secretariat burnt in Dutse, and police won't tolerate anarchy, says IG. Sanwo-Olu calls for normalcy. And below the Nation paper, we have cholera vaccines to be delivered this month, says Health Minister. And you can see that on page 6 of the Nation. Please go out and get the Nation's paper to be well informed on the news making rounds. Next is This Day.
All right, as we move on to the business end of the paper review, let's look at the Nigerian Tribune and see the headline stories making the rounds. We've got the headline: security agencies have identified senator as sponsor of protests, Wike alleges. And probably get a copy of the Tribune. You might just see the senator there. All right, IGP places all commands and units on red alert to prevent further violent protests. That's on the Nigerian Tribune. We've got chaos in Kano, Nasarawa, Kaduna, Yobe, Niger, and Abuja. Page 234 is where you find details of that story on the hardship protest. We've got Atiku condemns genocidal campaign for Igbos to leave Lagos and the southwest. Police confirm 9 dead, 20 injured in Borno IED attack. Find that story on page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune. 87 lawyers named senior advocates of Nigeria. Congratulations to the 87 lawyers, and we hope that will make the judiciary truly better. We've got PDP to Tinubu is the kicker. Review your strangulating policies now. That's opposition there, PDP, talking to Mr. President. Review your strangulating policies now. Find details of that story by grabbing a copy of the Nigerian Tribune. So those are some of the headline stories, and we've got the picture story there of the scene of the hardship protest in Abuja on Thursday at the Federal Secretariat, where tear gas canisters were shot at the protesters who were not armed. So those are the headline stories that are making the rounds on the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, on this day newspaper, very few headlines on this day, but big story again. Review your strangulating policies now. PDP advises federal government. The lament life in Nigeria unbearable. Urges President Tinubu to address the nation. Protests turn violent as 16 die in Borno, 6 in Niger on day 1. We have many writers to that story. You can ask a vendor to get the paper and have the details. We have a display of the protesters out there. Enough is enough to hunger and hardship. The last story on this day newspaper: the billionaire ex-oil head accused of bribing NNPC, federal government officials charged with corruption in United Kingdom. Let me get back to Jamal.
All right, now we have the Vanguard newspaper, and above we have commercial activities halted as pro-anti-government groups clash in Lagos, and you can get that on page 5 on the Vanguard. All right, let's connect to Achibong.
All right, Archibald, the earlier question was the blockage of internet access yesterday. Some persons are accusing the Nigerian Communication Commission for that outcry. What's your assessment? Was it as a result of the protest?
I cannot categorically say if it was as a result of the protest or not. But from inference, it can be deduced that it's a strategic move to interfere with the protest. Because if you trace it back, you will notice that few days to the protest, thousands of lines were blocked. For not just reason, they came up to say that people did not link their NIN to their SIM card. But you can see that most persons that were blocked were not guilty of this particular issue. And then on the day of the protest, the network became very slow. People could not have access to internet. To send messages was becoming very difficult, which does not happen on a regular day. So all this draws the inference that the service providers were trying to interfere with the rights of Nigerians to protest. Except they come up with a reasonable explanation. This is what an average Nigerian would think because of the body language of the service providers.
All right, actually, I've got two questions in one for you. Still talking about the blockade of the SIM. Could Nigerians sue the telecom communications for this infringement? That's one. Then secondly, the NBA leadership of the NBA came out to say they were willing to offer free pro bono services to protesters who were either intimidated or assaulted during this protest. Is that a very technical way for the NBA to say we're in support of this protest?
The first question,
did you get me?
Yes, I got you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First, the right to have access to the court is open to everyone. You have the right to access the court. But then is the probability of success. Will you succeed in your claims if you approach the court? Because what you now explain to the court is the interference was the interference. Did you suffer more as a result of the interference more than every other Nigerian? That is the question you will have to answer, because then you intend to institute a class action. So you look at all this and then you come to the conclusion whether to proceed with your case or not. And then on the issue of the NBA endorsing rendering a legal service to protesters that have been intimidated or harassed, whether it's a form of endorsement of the protest, I don't think it's the NBA endorsing the protest, because the NBA has a duty to protect the rights or the rule of law. So where there is a breach of the rule of law, the NBA can step in to see how they can address the situation. So the NBA is merely doing its duties by rendering this honor service to Nigerians who may not be able to access legal services. Because if you see, the hallmark of this protest is there is hunger in the land. And then Nigerians cannot afford the basic necessities of life. So where a person cannot afford, food, there is food insecurity, someone cannot afford food, and then the person is further arrested. How will the person have the means to procure legal services? So all this has to look, they are doing their constitutional duty in the NBA constitution. So it's not a means of endorsing the protest. And irrespective, it is the fundamental right of the people to protest.
All right,
I think the network is really very bad. Really wanted to get his clear take on that. But obviously the NBA, technically for me, I think it's some bit of support, though he said it's the right of the NBA to defend the right of Nigerians. So we must give kudos to the NBA for even agreeing to stand up and offer pro bono services. But one thing is how ways, which branches and how easy would it be for these protesters to seek redress or get this pro bono services? And so let's see how I think this is where the civil society organizations are supposed to come in and also help the protesters to see how they can get access to the NBA to get this pro bono services.
All right, let's resume back to the newspaper review. As we on the Vanguard newspaper, we have NBA sets up free legal help desks for protesters. LPP and Achibong, if he's still there, I wanted to ask him a little bit. Is he still with us? Okay. LPP.
I can hear you.
Okay. Barrister Achibong.
Yes,
can you give us more details on the Nigerian Bar Association setting up a free legal help desk for protesters? Do you think they have a clinch of the outcome of how this protest will go, and that is why they set up this help desk for protesters at this point?
Yes, if you look at, if you trace antecedents, previous protests in the country, you'll notice that there is a tendency for law enforcement agencies to either overreact to or using measures that are not commensurate to the show of demonstration by the protesters. If you look at in Abuja yesterday, peaceful protesters came out and they were demonstrating only to be met with and shooting. So it is based on history, and then it's based on history that the Nigerian Bar Association decided to set up this help desk to assist Nigerians render legal services to those that their rights may have been infringed. So that's basically the purpose, because Nigerians at this moment, the purchasing power of Nigerians is very low, which the president had promised that he's going to reduce the purchasing power of Nigerians, and he succeeded. So the purchasing power of Nigerians is very low, and most Nigerians cannot afford legal services. That is why the NBA is stepping in to not only render legal services, but also to render quick legal services. Because to render legal service is one thing, but for it to be quick is another thing. So to ensure that protesters are not held or detained beyond 24 hours or beyond the reasonable time. That's why the NBA is stepping in to render free legal services to the protesters.
All right, Barrister Achibong, in part of the captions on the newspaper, we got that, for instance, 14 killed as Yobe, Kano, Benue declare curfew. Curfew has been declared in some states due to the violence and the looting that happened. Do you think this is a breach of the fundamental human right of Nigerians to protest at this point, despite the fact that some miscreants have decided to take over this protest?
No, it is not a breach of the fundamental right of protesters or any Nigerian for a state to decide to declare curfew. Because if you look at the turnout of events in most states, there is violence. I can tell you from reports yesterday that about 9 persons have already been killed. 1 in Abuja, 6 in Niger, and also in some other states. So the primary function of the government is to protect lives and property. So how do they do this now? In this event, the protests in some states have, turned to a different thing. So the government has to step in so that it does not degenerate further. So it is not a breach of the fundamental right of any Nigerian. If you look at the NSAS protests, in Cross River State, in Calabar, after the NSAS protests, some hoodlums hijacked the event and started causing mayhem, destroying public and private properties, going to the house of politicians to destroy properties, going to business places of Cross Riverians to destroy property. And the government at that time decided to impose curfew, and which was very helpful to curtail this vandalism of properties. So I think where the government has assessed the situation in the state and finds it necessary to impose curfew, they should go ahead. It is not a breach of the right of any Nigerian.
All right, thank you, Barrister Achibong. I think my co-hosts, they have some questions to ask. Michael, Anthony, do you have questions for Barrister Achibong?
Just before you can get off the Zoom.
All right, Achibong, I want to say thank you for your contributions, but when I did ask that question as regards if you thought it was a tactical way of the NBA endorsing it, I could see you were chuckling. There was this smile in your face showing that
an assumption?
You were being very tactical in answering that question. But would it be out of place if the NBA supported the protests, if truly they are meant to support and protect the rights of Nigerians? Nigerians have the right to better life, security, and all the other details. If the government seems to be stepping out of line, is it out of place for the NBA to also caution the government, or make statements or draw the attention of the executive as a very important body in governance to do the right thing? Why must they wait until things go south for them to now show support to the protesters rather than helping the government do the right thing?
In the sense that they have the capacity to advise the government on the legal implication of both the actions of the government and then to also protect the rule of law. So it is not out of place for the NBA to advise the government. And then saying that whether the NBA has to wait up until this moment to advise the government, no, they ought not to wait up to this moment. But the NBA has, by several publications, made suggestions to the government, advise the government. It's one thing to give advice to someone, it's another thing for the person to take your advice. Especially looking at the power play, the NBA does not have the capacity to compel the executive arm of government to act. They can only advise, they can only suggest, and they have been doing this through several publications. So it is left for the government to take action. And a government that is serious to act, you would know. From the body language of the government, you would know. If a government the government ought not to wait till August 1st before they start acting, start implementing the demands of the protesters. The protesters have made their demands very clear, but the government has not even tried to attempt to solve even one. So, and then and I always say this: a government that intends to act on the demands of protesters, they will start by cutting the cost of governance. That's how you know that this government is the government of the people. But this government has shown that it is very reluctant to cut the cost of governance. Few days ago, the House of Representatives came out to say that they are cutting their salary by 50% for 6, that is plus, and cutting their salary. It is their basic salary, not their allowances, and their salary is about 600,000. So they are cutting off 300,000 for only 6 months. Meanwhile, they go home with millions, over 20-something million naira monthly, being their allowance, wardrobe allowance, newspaper allowance, and all whatnot. So a government that intends, that is the government of the people, will look first at cutting the cost of governance. You cannot suffocate the people by removing subsidy, taxing the people, but you cannot tax yourself. You have to show, you're asking the people to be patient, you're asking the people to endure, but you are not enduring. You are not doing nothing at your own end to show that you are also suffering the impact of your policies. So from this, you know where the government is headed to.
All right. One of the things, Achibong, that Managing Director towards Attorneys and Advisory from Lagos. Thanks so much for your perspective on the program. Because of time, we deeply appreciate. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
All right, thank you for having me.
All right, we'll go on a break, and once we return, the conversation still continues right here at the Global Morning, where our guests will be joining us live here for another discussion. Do stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television, getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chong Annamel Joseph on Global Television.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumai Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global, on Global Television, the show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comeback.
All right, thanks so much for still staying with us on Global Morning. The concern about the aftermath of the one demonstration of the hunger protest, the End Bad Governance protest, is still on. And we're trying to gather as much as we can. We earlier read the statement of the IGP of police, who described the protests not entirely peaceful, where we've seen clashes between the security agencies and some protesters in some states. They also had the fact that they were looting in some part of the state and all of this controversy. But to more about how these all day one really played out is what we'll be talking on right now on the program. We have been joined this morning by President National Convener, Humanities Welfare and Social Development Initiative, former NANS student leader, and of course is live here on the program to give us a perspective to the agitations and the protests of the young people. Atta Felix, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, let's begin with the body languages of leaders. We've seen comment, but both ministers, we've seen comment, Minister of FCT, we've seen comment of some ministers in a way to shelve the protest prior to yesterday. Some persons are not happy about their statement. Some people feel there are more to what utterances they ought to have been making in a time like this. Do you feel that the sensitivity of and the plight of Nigerians is taken for granted?
Yes, I think I also get it from that context because initially when the proposed date for this national protest was out there at the public space, those in relevant government offices security agencies had some very negative utterances that did not reflect with the reality on ground, which is hunger. If the people are passing through hardship, hunger, and there are also so many government policies that are affecting their lives negatively, I think it is very important that you listen to the yearnings of the people. So I feel that the activities that happen, especially areas like Abuja, was more of like to prove a point to those in governance that we elected you in, we voted you, and I think we are the ones that decide what happens to us. I think so. The people are beginning to demonstrate the pain and anger and the resilience period they've also given this government as far as 1 year is concerned.
All right, let's look at, since we're focusing on the FCT, what role would you say the FCT minister has played? Because at the point, 48 hours before the protests, he had a meeting with some civil society organizations and youth where they were insisting they wanted to make use of the Eagle Square, and it was turned down. Do you think the posture of the FCT minister also helped ignite the violence we saw in the FCT, the fact that he was being too rigid, and the issue of intimidation by the Nigerian government?
I think, thank you very much, and allow me to borrow that word rigid. The Honorable Minister of FCT, His Excellency Nyesom Wike, at some point had made so many utterances that provoked the masses and those that you saw yesterday coming out to prove a point. And let me also tell you that as a person, I think one of the best things that Wike would have done to salvage his name, as far as I'm concerned, was to join that protest yesterday. And I tell you, that protest would have been a very peaceful protest. If you had joined that protest, the people will understand that, yes, he has understood some of the mistakes and he has decided to solidarize with the people. Because take it or leave it, the truth is, in infrastructure will give him an excellent mark. But even the original inhabitants of Abuja had continuously complained that social intervention programs, town hall meetings, interactions with the people so that they can also tell you about what they are passing through, that in that aspect the scorecard is low. They have not done that. And we listened to some of the utterances he made during that period of time. As a civil society organization, we were also invited at the DSS, that we had some documents that were circulating that we were going to join the protest. And we told them, yes, Abuja is not Dubai. Abuja is still part of Nigeria. So if the Minister of FCT feels that with the accolades he's getting as a result of the infrastructural development that he has done in the FCT, completing of abandoned projects and all of that, will give him the yardstick to speak so negative about the hunger, which is the board of contention as far as this discussion is concerned, will prove a point to him. And I think that is one of the things you've seen. And let me also tell you that in trying to retract his ways, when they noticed that, yes, the people mean business, the various town hall meetings that were organized by the Honorable Minister, I give it was a total shamble. You don't go and mobilize people from Zuba to come and fill up a hall and then they now say these are youth and all of that. Of course, these are paid youth that are only there to get their stipends so that they can feed. You interact with people who are on ground, you interact with relevant stakeholders, and then put people on board. Of course, when you come on board, you also have to go through some memos to understand how these things have been run. So I put it to you that Nigerians were out here yesterday in Abuja to prove a point, and to also let the Nigerian police that one of the circulars that came out that nobody will protest in Abuja was a total foul, that Nigerians had their say, and I think that was what was demonstrated yesterday.
They are also concerned about the government saying, you know, this is a new government. The government just came on board just 1 year. And when you look at the hashtag, End Bad Governance, So some person said bad governance didn't start under Tinubu's administration. It can be traced back to PDP's administration. It can be traced back to the 8 years of Buhari's administration. Why are we now choosing to protest at this time? Do you feel that there is a concern about trust where Nigerians feel governments have promised them a lot and enough, so they can't take it anymore? What is your assessment about why now? Why protesting now?
Unfortunately, the three aspirants that were the leading candidates for the 2023 elections had discussed in their manifesto that they will remove fuel subsidy. Fuel subsidy was as a layman, was the common hope of the masses, because for fuel to be sold as 617 naira, I think an ordinary Nigeria feels that this is the root cause of the hike in prices and inflation that is biting so hard. The Tinubu's administration, unfortunately, becomes a child of circumstances. That is just the truth. Take it or leave it. I want to tell you that the hashtag bad governance does not hit just directly, does not entail that it is just Tinubu's government alone. The people are saying that from inception, we've not had it well. The people we have given responsibility to manage our resources have not been prudent, have not been just, and have not done so well as far as this country is concerned. So I think the hashtag is not just about Tinubu. And let me also draw your attention to the fact that when we say end bad governance, the head should not take the pressure alone. Of course, you've seen what is happening in other states, Kano and all of that. You can't see anybody carrying placard that Tinubu must go. That's a different thing altogether. State governors are still part of the reasons why there are agitations, because they are also governing at the level of state. I tell you, those in National Assembly and all of that. So I think the Tinubu's administration has inherited so much, and they are just a child of circumstances.
Okay, let's look at, some have said probably, like you rightly pointed out, probably if Wike had joined the protest, it would have even been easier to lead the protesters towards the right direction, and they'll feel that the government is listening to them. Probably we might not have even had a second day of protest. But let's look at the issue of Mr. President speaking to the people. We saw some weeks back where Senator Aline Dume came out to say the president has been gagged, seem not to know what's happening in the country. This issue of the presidency not always being aware of what's happening in the country, how sickening is that? That we're in the same country and they claim to say the presidency is being, smoke screen from the reality on ground. How real is that? And do you expect the president to be talking to the citizenry day 2 of this protest?
Take it or leave it. I disagree with whatsoever opinion or suggestions that the president has been caged, that he is not aware of whatsoever. Of course, on various occasions and events where the president have attended and made speech, you understand that he's talking as a result of he knows what is happening. On various cases, the president has also apologized to the people, telling them that they should be patient with him. And let me also tell you that the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's mandate came on a mantra of, please don't pity me, I have all it takes to govern the people. And the people have so much confidence in that regard.
Has he shown that?
I tell you, as far as hunger is concerned, it's a 70-30. Yes, I give it to him. This government has shown some sense of responsibility in some little areas that we give them accolades.
Which areas, please?
Okay, one. Upon the public outcry of the events that happened in the humanitarian ministry, in trying to unravel the corruption that had eaten in depth. I tell you, if it was Buhari's government, the minister will not be suspended. I tell you, the president's fast and rapid action in stepping aside the minister so that investigations can go on in
but
that.
There were other persons indicted in that Edu's Gate who were not also suspended. Even when we had the CCB call the interior minister for questioning. We also know that the Femi Gbajabiamila, former speaker, was also indicted.
Of course, it was alleged, but for that of the Minister of Interior, we also have it in the public space that he was summoned to the villa and all of that. You see, let's look at it from this direction.
Because people feel Betty Edu was an easy fish for them to sacrifice rather than the other two persons. That was why they used her as a sacrificial lamb.
Certainly, you see, you can always try as much as possible to see how you will correct the wrongs. And let's not forget the corruption in that very ministry, as far as informations have it in the public space, was something that was transgenerational. We're talking about a past government and an inherited corruption and process of trying to siphon money. Let me not allow us to debate so much on that issues, because I'm trying to tell you about the areas where the president has also done very well. There are various policies that, upon the heat of the threats for this protest, that were reversed. Upon the agitations, let me call it agitations, for this hunger protest, they were reversed, the taxations and all of that. I think every responsible government will always do that. And I think if you listen to the yearnings of some of the people yesterday at the National Stadium, where some of us were, is that the common man believes that return back our fuel subsidy. Yes. Because we've had controversies where people have said subsidy is still being paid secretly. So Nigerians feel, are they playing with us? And the whole controversies of we are still going to have to import crude, when down refinery and all of that. So people don't understand. And let me also tell you, the social media have also done so well that with your Android phone and smartphones, a hungry man sits at home and sees how the elite and the political class attend events and spend money and live a very flamboyant lifestyle. How will you feel? I think the president is one man that have listening ears, and he should not allow himself to be surrounded with sycophants. Why I can say sycophants? You agree with me that why people came out yesterday to protest? There were also other people that came carrying placards that they were there to protest, that there should be no protest. And fortunately or unfortunately, to unravel the masquerade, one of the journalists went to interview a young man. We did. And the young man said, we are hungry. So I was asking for the unifying factor now was hunger. Anti-protestant and pro-protestant. Hunger became the unifying factor. So you will now understand that the people that use their monies to sponsor this pro-government protest to impress those in government were very useless and very stupid sort of people, because of course it does not warrant it.
Let's watch our words.
Watch on the TV.
Some days back, or let's give it a week, there have been so many town hall meetings and agitations, people saying, let's not protest, let's dialogue and all of that. And you'll be asking yourself, where have these people been? And let me also tell you, the few that we were able to attend, what they do is that as soon as they have galvanized support, mobilized people, fill the hall, they remove their Android phones and start videoing. Nothing has been discussed meaningful. Nobody has listened to anybody's opinion to understand why are you people agitating that you must join the protest. Because as at that point, the government was still saying they don't even know those that are the leaders of this protest. You know what they were doing? They were making these videos so that they can send to those in government to gain favor, either for contracts, appointments. Some are aware that the president might redig his cabinet and all of that. So they feel that in doing this, if the protest does not hold, we will now take the scorecard of excellence. Your Excellency we made sure we did this so that the protests will not hold and not be embarrassed. Let me tell you, this is not about embarrassing Tinubu. This is about telling Tinubu that, Oga, we are hungry and you must do something.
All right. Atta, one of the considerations we had for this president was the fact that this is a man that was being a governor of his state, a Democrat, for the fact that he has participated in several protests just to get democracy right for the country. This is also a man that has been in the National Assembly as a senator. So some people were expecting that he has a different capacity than any other president would have had, because the consideration that if we had Peter Obi, probably Peter Obi wouldn't have had the political will to confront some issues. The oil sector is where the problem lies, and as you confirmed, that many of the protesters are saying that you have to reverse back the policy of subsidy removal. And now we are bothered that, is it that the president cannot confront, the corruption in the oil sector? Because away from removing subsidy, you can rather fight the corruption in that sector. What is your assessment of the president's capacity to tackle the issues in the oil sector, which is giving him a tough time to address this issue of subsidy and all of that?
Recently, we had also heard from the GMD NNPC that they were doing everything possible to make sure the Port Harcourt refinery kickstarts its operations. And
it has been on the front burner over almost a year again.
Yeah,
they told us December last year.
And while the NNPC was being managed by the federal government directly, we felt maybe it was because of so many government interests and all of that that had reduced the sole mandate of what it was meant to be. So we were thinking that now that it is a limited liability company, that things will be better and all of that. Take it or leave it, I would believe that if we don't refine here, there will be issues. And at times, it brings or it hits up the conversation that why not allow the local refineries to also...
That's the modular refineries?
Yes, to refine so that we can have these things in sufficiency and we will not be having these challenges. But I tell you, the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, upon the nominations of the ministerial offices within that petroleum sector, we felt that breaking the oil and gas in segments was going to be so that the challenges in that sector will be x-rayed and can be tackled amicable and appropriately so that things can be better. I think the issues regarding petroleum is enormous, and it takes the willpower of Mr. President to make pronouncements in regards to reducing the cost of this PMS price. So I think at this point, it is very, very sacrosanct that Mr. President should know that the people are out there to express themselves, and it is high time we see actions. Because, let me tell you, the fire you are seeing burning today, ordinarily, the people would have done this upon the way the news came to Nigerians that fuel subsidy is gone. People believe that let's give him time and let's see how things will go. Of course, as we are asking for more time, I feel not ordinarily, the common man believes that you should show solidarity both in your actions and all you do. So if you are not cutting cost of governance, just recently the House of Reps came out that they will fulfill 50% of their salary. It's not like a donation, it's more of like a donation in trying to assist. Of course, it does.
But do you think that was a smart move? Because we're not told for fitting it where those monies will be. Were they going to be collected in a pool? And who were they going to give the money to?
For the next 6 months.
And why 6 months? So it tells you
that political statement.
So don't you think that was like playing on the sensibility of Nigerians? Then furthermore, let's just look at day two. What are the expectations of the two protests and the expectations from the part of the security agencies to be more vigilant and proactive? We saw a lot of hijacking by hoodlums. Don't you think if the security operatives were proactive and if they really protected the protesters, it would have been easier for them to single out the hoodlums when they came calling?
No, I give it to the security agencies. Let's call it spade a spade. I give it to them. They were very professional. The security agencies showed solidarity. They gave some of us the sense of understanding that yes, we are also feeling this heat that every other Nigerian is feeling. I think in managing crowd, it is not always that easy, knowing fully well that we are coming with different backgrounds, we're coming with different challenges, but with one agitation, which is governance is bad. We need a better life. I give it to the security, but I also know that it is their responsibility to protect lives and property. So it is to give them accolades and encourage them to do more and strengthen up, beefing up their security. But let me also tell you that when you have two parties protesting for different interests and the same motive, you tend to have clash. I put this to you. If someone was given 3,000 naira yesterday to come and carry placards for say no to protest, and is hungry, and the other person, you know what drugs does to some of these people that were mobilized yesterday from various local areas to come and see if there will be a way of trying to stop this protest. Of course, you know one of the reasons that made some of these areas being tense yesterday was trying to stop the people from not exercising what they feel is their constitutional and fundamental human right, which is to protest. So I think the security did so well yesterday. They were very professional, but they need to beefing up their security. And Mr. President, in his own angle, needs to speak to the nation.
All right, what's your concern about the call to shelve the protest now that the government have heard the protesters loud and clear? I mean, when you look at the fact that even the president said from his statement, confirmed by his minister, that the president has said you, we are hearing you, we understand what you're passing through, we understand what you're demanding for, give us more time. Yesterday, FCT minister also had to confirm that there's a need for protesters to give the government more time. What's your concern about that call? Secondly, you know, it has created tension already in the capital city here. A lot of workshops, businesses have been closed down due to that tension. Are you not bothered that this may affect the economic situation in the FCT, creating even more hunger and hardship to the lives of the people?
For us, I think the right thing to do now is for the president to address the nation, because in as much as I was speaking for FCT here, I also want to tell you that there are so many areas yesterday that people came out and you understand that, yes, the people are fighting for one common interest. The Nguru, Potiskum, and all of those local governments. We are not talking, it is not Damaturu itself. These are local governments within Yobe. People came out, mobilized themselves, and were protesting. That's to tell you that hunger has no religion, ethnic group, or whatsoever. So I think the president needs to come out and address the nation and renew and revive the renewed hope agenda.
If he doesn't come out to speak, what will be the implication of that? Would it be the implication to say, I cannot give you what you're asking for at this time, or it will be like, okay, he hasn't heard the people, and it's just his ministers who are paying lip service or trying to play, play the role of speaker on behalf of the president?
This is not just for the president. In Rivers, there was protest yesterday, and Governor Fubara came out to address the protesters. In Abo, Delta State, there is one popular clip flying on the social media. A local government chairman, who was a former commissioner, received the protesters and they celebrated him among the protest that was going on. Why? He owned up to show face. And that's why we are saying that with the infrastructural work His Excellency Nyesom Wike has done in the FCT. He had every reason yesterday to show face, and the tension in the FCT will die down. I tell you. So it is the responsibility of every state governor to own up to these clarion cries that are going around nationwide, to also address the people, and then the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, to address the nation and give them more hope.
All right, let's get to be joined by the Speaker of the Nigerian Youth Parliament virtually. Good morning, Azizat Yishau. Thanks so much for joining us on the program. We just want to get a balance of feedback. You were part of the town hall meeting organized by the House of Representatives in respect to the situation on ground. There were several calls by the government, particularly through the Speaker of the House of Reps, for young people to shelve the protest. But the protest had to start yesterday. The ministers also outlined what the government have achieved. You know, a common saying that you could explain, tell, no evidence. Does it look like what the government are presenting is not the reality on ground? The reason I'm asking this is because you've seen the inflation statistics right now. You understand the reality on ground. What is your assessment about what governments are asking or saying or explaining to what the youth are demanding for?
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. My apologies.
Yes, we can hear you, please.
And so I have just my picture here as well. So thank you so much. And I think I want to commend the previous guest as well for some of the things that they have highlighted. And yes, I was at the town hall meeting with members of the Nigerian Youth Parliament as well, those who could make it from their senatorial district. Some of us are still hanging in Abuja here and they can't go back to their home. So I think that just like you have said, we have a slang among us, we explain tired, with no evidence, and that is true. And I think that one of those challenges is the fact that we are not concerned generally. The government is not concerned about, accountability and impact. So if there's a process that has been put to achieve a particular result, how do you ensure that those results are there? And that is where accountability and ensuring is there. And like I said, when I was also speaking at the town hall meeting, that I have had the opportunity to witness the president. And this current president is the president that I've seen actually is responsive to the plight of young people or to the plight of citizens by immediately when there's a clamor that this is being done, there's a response, you understand, to ensure that whatever the government can do to negate that effect is being passed, either at policy or executive order or an activity. But these activities, you understand, just like you said yesterday, we were at the town, or the ministers were there listing all these things that they are supposedly doing. But then these initiatives, these opportunities are not available at the grassroots level. And that is much of the concern for people. Because since the presidency came on board, there are just two major, aside from a few other things that came from the central bank that was not palatable and then was reversed, there were two major government policies that are spiraled into some of the economic hardship, which is one, the floating of the naira, two, the removal of subsidy. And I say to you that it is only a partial removal of subsidy for petrol. But then, so if there's removal of subsidy, why are there queues in petrol station? Why do we still have black market in petrol station? Why are the refineries or the funding that have been allocated for the revival of the refineries not working? Why are the money that have been allocated for local government allocation and state government allocations? Why are these people, why are these several other government parastatals and agencies not ensuring that they deliver to the grassroots? And for me, I think that so for me, that is what's the problem. Are we going to see a situation whereby we might be able to automatically go back? No. To subsidizing petrol, because we've identified that subsidy or subsidizing petrol is a huge debt on the country, and as such we need to use our money to reinvest in the development of the country as well. But as this present administration roll out initiative, consumer credit scheme, national and Nigerian Youth Investment Fund, student loan, a lot of activities, a lot of initiative to mitigate the effect, which the president is very aware of. The answer is yes. But this initiative, those who are responsible for accountability and ensuring that this initiative reach grassroots level, are they ensuring that it reaches the people that need it? The answer is no. So therefore, when we are trying to engage government, you understand as well, we need to be able to focus on other institutions and government agencies that are supposed to do their particular job. So part of the feedback that we got from the protest yesterday, and some of the things that we even suggested to the National Assembly, that why are you not engaging your constituency? We've known about this protest now at least since the beginning of July, when people are already clamoring that we are going to demonstrate. But you will realize that for members of the parliament, either at national level or at state government level, they refuse to engage their community. They refuse to take the local government approach that we take during a campaign period, to reach out to people and say, this is what the government is doing at this federal level. Do you know about it? No, we don't know about it. How can we bring you on board? Those who do not have access to loan, the several social investment loan by the government, either conditional cash transfer or some other monies that were released to relieve the or mitigate the impact of some of these policies, do not reach the people that it ought to reach. So at the end of the day, you realize that in a government system that has a process that's supposed to engage people, show them that this is what the government is doing, give feedback or assess feedback that, okay, if this policy that we are rolling out, is it affecting people the right way? Is it creating the impact? And then adjust appropriately. Is not effective, then you have this kind of huge protest. So for me as a young person, protest is the symptoms of a disease, right? And if we don't cure the disease, if we don't address the disease, it will continue to go up. Today we're having protests. In another 1 or 2 years, we might have another protest. In another 4 years, we might have another protest, because there's an underlying issue that needs to be addressed. So I'll stop here.
All right, let's look at the issue of the women groups and the girl child and civil society organizations. Do you think they did enough to support the cry and the push by Nigerian youths to end bad governance? And would you say you were also probably disappointed with the last-ditch effort by government to stand down this protest, and how some leaders of thought, after the closed-door meetings with the presidency, changed their narrative and started to withdraw from this planned protest?
Please, can you come again? I'm sorry. Your voice.
I said, what's your take as regards women groups in terms of their support for this planned protest, and also for the leaders of thought who had closed-door meetings with the presidency in the government's last-minute effort to ensure that the protest didn't hold? The fact that after the closed-door meetings, we had lots of civil society organizations, women groups who backed out of the planned protests.
So I think that for every opportunity or for every event, people seek out opportunities, and I think it's left for the government to know the right set of individuals to do what, to engage, especially in situations like this. I, for one, as the Speaker of the Parliament, released a press release telling people, advising young people to pick up a form of dialogue, to engage their representative at the grassroots level, simply because we know what protest looks like in Nigeria. Right now, we've had some other states in Nigeria whereby young people who have protested, whether they have different motives, destroying, setting ablaze. There's a physical confrontation with the police or police outfit. We know the characteristics of protest in Nigeria. And for us as young people, what we care most, just like a colleague said at the town hall meeting, is the life of properties. We know what happened at NSAS. We are very concerned about the life of young people who set out on the streets. And if there's another option, if there's another way for us to dialogue and communicate without necessarily putting our life on at risk or putting lives in danger, then we at the level of the parliament would always advocate for that. So for those who backed out, in the first place, if people call out to say that they are protesting, for you to be able to back out, then you must have shown support for the protest in the first place. And while the reason for the protest is genuine, for anybody to say that they backed out, I don't know, I don't speak for them. You understand? I only speak for a platform that I'm involved in. In the beginning, we recognized the need for a protest. But because we were parliamentarians and the instrument for engaging government that we know about is what? Town hall meeting. So when we were advocating in the public space, what we said is what? Let's engage. And at the level of the parliament, we did that. And we have a report every year. The parliament carries out town hall meetings whereby we submit our resolutions to the Ministry of Youth and to the National Assembly, to the Committee of Youth as well. And at the beginning of this month, members of the parliament themselves across the 109 senatorial district had the opportunity by themselves funded a town hall meeting within their own constituency to listen to the plight of young people, to which we wrote a report and we submitted. So that is the way, and I can only speak for the platform that I represent. For any other person who wants to take advantage of the situation, now that the government is pressed, now that there's agitation, let us come in here to negotiate for our benefit. It is left for the government who wants to provide solution, to know the right set of people to engage and why they are engaging them. If the real people who are asking, who are agitating, the government is able to identify them, then they should engage them. There's no need to call backdoors meetings. There's no need to meet people secretly and tell them to stand up, but engage them directly. And up to now, we are still asking for that. Let the president address the nation. Let ministers go back to their constituencies. Let the honorable members go back to their constituency. Let them have a sit down with these people. I say to you, if from next week, members of the House call for a constituency meeting, a lot of people who are on the road will go to that constituency meeting to listen. All right. Also voice.
Speaker, I'm going to come back to you. Let me get a feedback from Several Zokoi. He's a political analyst and a former PDP aspirant in Cross River State. Honorable, let me get your perspective politically now. PDP is pushing blame and calling on Tinubu's administration to quickly address the issues that the protesters are outlining. What assessment about that? Understanding that end bad governance to some extent didn't start from this administration. You might go back to the years back, concern about how it started, how many government administration may somehow be a victim of these protests as well outlined. What's your assessment about that comment coming from the People's Democratic Party and the protest itself?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike. How are you today?
We are very fine, sir.
Okay, my position on the protest. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right, my position on the protest is okay, and the call of the People's Democratic Party with respect to the protest, that Mr. President should address the nation and should speak up, is in line. You know, you can't compare the administration of PDP to that of APC. You just cannot. Beginning from the days of Obasanjo as president, you know, to now, to Jonathan, to Yar'Adua and President Jonathan, you could see that the policies of the PDP put Nigeria as one of the fastest growing economy in Africa at the time. So what is the state of things today? So you could see the policies of this administration, which is what has angered young people, for which they are demonstrating. You know, so I support the protest in totality, but what I do not support is the destruction of our infrastructures. You know, as much as you cannot beat a child and expect the child not to cry. This administration has unleashed untold hardship on Nigerians. There are no jobs, no good policies. You floated in Naira. Your first day in office as president, you took away subsidy, and we are hearing these information and rumors that subsidy is being paid in secret. You know, Nigerians are suffering. I am in Lagos. There is no fuel in Lagos. There's a petrol crisis in Lagos. You know, you queue at the filling station for God knows how long to get fuel. You know, so but even though we experienced some of these things in the PDP administration, it wasn't as bad as this. We have never had it this bad, Mike. You know, we have never had it this bad. So please, I support this protest, and it's quite unfortunate that the president is still feeling that he has a grandstanding. I want the president to address the nation, to have to speak up and stop having a grandstanding. So that's my position. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, service. Back to you, Speaker. Just the last one before we can let you go. What is your level of, what do you think is the level of commitment to the demands of the protesters? Because just as several has highlighted, you can't beat a child and expect the child not to cry. The hunger in the land is forcing a whole lot of them to be crazy about this protest. All what they want is for government to quickly, not just aware of the fact that they are aligning what they are doing, the programs and initiatives of government, but what step can they really take that can put to rest this issue of protest? Because Nigeria is ours, so we can only protect the country, and we can only do this by also not just away from the words, but by a demonstration and action.
Thank you very much. I think the first thing to that effect, because
yes, please,
just like you and I. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, so I think that one of the things that would work to show level of commitment. You and I were on this side. We've seen the demands of Nigerians. We've seen how the first day of protest is looking at. I think one of the things that would work, I think, which a lot of people have said, is that the president can address the nation from all these things that people are already clamoring for. The presidency, the appointees, the several agencies, or whoever that are advising the president. What can you start doing right now? When the president is able to come to address and said, we've listened. Earlier before, a lot of people were saying to prevent the protest. Now the protest has started, and this list of demands or this list of adjustment has been put forward. What would indicate a form of commitment is a response from the government that we've even received what you've said, and these are the things to pull up. What those things would look like, whether the president or the government is able to concede to everything on the list, that is something that we might not be able to say. But the first level of commitment is to address and said, well, you've spoken, and then now we've also listened, and then this is the response that we have. You understand? That will show a level of commitment. That is one. And then what would follow post that announcement or that particular engagement? For me, I'm sorry, I would only speak to a strategy that I know works, a strategy that is developed to engage every single citizen. We need to see a continuous or a rapid engagement at different sectors at different levels, continually at the grassroots level. Everybody that came outside, you and I were in Abuja, but some people are in Gombe, some people are in Borno, some people are in Maiduguri, some people are in different aspects. It's not everybody. The majority of people that are protesting are not in the capital. They are all in the different states, in their local government, in their streets that is familiar with, to which they have a representative. So for me, I think what would work, right now we cannot assess the level of commitment of government. What would work is if the president is able to address the nation, that we've listened, and this is what we're able to start with, and then the actions that follows that such engagement, the amount of engagement and the readjustment, by either the government agencies, parastatals, or the ministers. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? To ensure that we are committed to bringing that succor, bringing that relief. You understand what I'm trying to say, to Nigerian people, and to also serve as the opportunity for the president and the government itself to reiterate why they are making certain decisions. If something is good for us and we need to go through a particular period in order to achieve that goal, then there's nothing that is wrong in that. But to ensure that while we are going through that process, we have the necessary instrument that we survive. You understand? If Nigeria is going to grow, we don't have to kill, half of the population doesn't have to die, and we don't have to reel in poverty. So the things that we need to do for us to survive that process is one thing that is important that the government needs to let the people know. And I think for me, I will just put my point here. We are sitting, we are waiting, we've made our effort. Right. We are at the town hall.
Thanks so much, Asisat Yeshau, the Speaker of the Nigerian Youth Parliament, for your insight and contribution on the program. Thanks so much for joining us. And of course, I'm still left with Seven Sokor, which I would like to get your last comment. Away from the the blame syndromes from PDP and all of that, I would have loved to get your reaction finally. But let me get back to the studio where we're having a comrade here who is eager to hit the street on the second day protest or demonstration. We've seen instances where we understand why government are afraid of the protest. And then we also understand why people are also calling for people, the protesters, to share it. But one thing is standing out. Is it about politics? Is it about religion? Is it about tribe? Because some people said, oh, Tinubu is a Yoruba. That's why people of Southwest are backing him up to some extent. The Northerners are protesting because he's not their brother that is in the seat of power. Do you see this level of comments playing out in this protest right there?
I think this protest itself, I tell people, as far as I'm concerned, in my own opinion and what I've said, it's not about Tinubu. Let's see this thing. It's a reality that has befallen us, and people are trying to say we are hungry. These policies are not favoring us. How do we change and ease in some of these policies so that life can be better? See, there are also, outside the hunger, the challenge in housing currently experienced in Abuja, are you aware of it? That a one-room safe container is for 1.2 million, 1.3 million naira in areas like resettlement, Durumi and all of that, areas that were meant to resettle people for life to be easy for them. So I think President Tinubu has a lot to offer and has shown the direction that he's heading towards, the fact that he has the masses at heart. So the fact remains that there is need for him to easing up some policies so that he can cushion the effect of hunger that is in the land. And I tell you, we also have a responsibility as Nigerian citizens to be very, very patriotic. As we have demonstrated, we have sought and asked for our fundamental human right to be allowed to protest. I want to also tell you that the level at which we take advantage in the price of commodities in the market is so enormous. And I feel that government should also look into that areas too. It is not just about taxation, policies and all of that. What are they doing in regards to trying to control prices and people not taking advantage of what is happening in the market? So the president has to address the nation. It's very important.
Oh, thanks so much, Comrade Atta, the President's National Convener, Humanities Welfare and Social Welfare, Social Development Initiative. Thanks so much for joining us on the morning show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we'll have to go on a break, and once we return from the break, we'll finalize the conversations on the program Global Morning. Do stay with us. I'll be right back.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Global television is people's television. It's for the people. They focus on the contents of deliverables.
Global Television, channel 365 on your DSTV, the station to watch for your news and current affairs. Hey!
This is Global Television, channel 365 on DSTV, the station to watch for your news and current affairs.
This is Global Television, channel 365 on DSTV. A station to watch for current affairs and other societal news. Keep watching live.
Watching Global TV on DSTV channel 365. Don't touch it now, just watch.
This is Global TV. Keep watching on channel 365 on DSTV station and listening to the latest updates. Yay!
This is Global Television on DSTV, channel 365. Keep watching. Yay!
Well, the center of the conversations today's program is about the aftermath demonstrated at the hunger protest rally across the nation. We've seen the commentaries, reactions about everyone who spoke earlier. Something really stood out. The call for the commitment of government and the call for a peaceful protest. I understand that these are the demands that the protesters are giving out to government. What government needs to do from that all analysis is that government must respond quickly to their demands and see how they can put to rest this issue of economic hardship in the country. Jumai, it was, a conversation that really was engaging, because when you understand the fact that the people, but every speaker who spoke, understand, even those who were trying to be in support of government, knows that yes, we understand that things are hard. There's a need for government to tackle it. All of them arrived at that particular point. So it now it looks as the ball is now in the court of the government to quickly arrest the situation
and intervene. Of course, is very important. Of course, this is all focused on the government, for the government to improve the course of livelihood, to bring down the cost of living, like you said, the removal of fuel subsidy, all of that encompassed. It's focused on the government, and that is why there is a hunger protest in the first place, for government to actually address the situation that Nigerians are facing in the country. So the ball is in the court of the government. Immediately, all of these things are reviewed and everything put in place. I'm sure we'll have cause to move on, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. We just have to move on. Exactly. Do you want to drag backward?
Well, the fact that the FCT minister will be having a closed-door meeting with Mr. President today as regards reviewing the first day of protest, hopefully they will come to a compromise and decide to speak to the Nigerian people. But I hope the president will be the one calling the shots and not taking the hook and sinker, the advice of his advisors or those around him, because we know that some persons want to play hardball, but this is not the time to play hardball. This is the time for the presidency to take very decisive decisions and make Nigerian people know that they appreciate what they're going through, and make them know that, okay, yes, we see the essence of the protest, we've gotten the message, and we're going to do X, Y, Z with very specific timelines on when they're going to achieve those response to those demands. I think that's the only way they can quell the crisis or the protest, rather than this hard standpoint earlier taken by the government, and with those seeming sinister moves by the presidency at barely 24 hours to the protest, where they had closed-door meetings with persons who were supposed to be leaders of thought, coming out to say, okay, the protest wasn't holding or they were not supporting it. And kudos must be given to the NBA for saying they were going to give pro bono services to Nigerians, especially protesters who will be intimidated or assaulted by the security agencies. And this is day 2 of the protest. We hope things would get better, and hopefully the presidency will come out strong and make very interesting statements that would make Nigerians believe that, okay, there's no need to continue the protest.
Yes, of course, as we're looking forward to day 2, we already see now we're having the fact that some persons, the protesters are hitting on the street again. Right now, Wike, the FCT minister, is urging that they obey the court order and, of course, confine themselves towards the Marshal Biala Stadium, where the court ordered that a protest must take place in the Federal Capital Territory. In Lagos, we already see that the governor have also given a release that it was a peaceful exercise, demonstration demonstrated yesterday. So we can only advocate for a peaceful protest. We condemn the actions at Kano, Yobe, and all of the states that went out of hand. And of course, I call not to attack the security agencies, and I call also for security agencies to do their work professionally so that we can have a fruitful engagement on the demonstration of protest. Well, that's the size we'll be having on the morning show today. And of course, we're looking forward again having more stories coming in on the heels of these hunger protests. My name is Edikan Michael.
And I am Jumai Manson. Thank you all so much for being there with us on Global Morning.
And I am Anthony Momodu saying have a very interesting day. Good morning.
Good morning. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle as to strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.